Hello, my name is Casey Quisenberry. Today we're going to be going over the simplest interaction system in Unreal Engine 5. So as you can see here, we have the third person character template. We can walk up to an actor like a door, press E, it's going to open the door, and then we press E again, and it's going to close the door. And we can go up to another actor that runs a completely different set of code like this cube. We press E, it creates a light. We press E, it turns off the light. So this is going to be a system that's going to let you interact with basically any single blueprint that you want. So let's get into it. So first things first, we're going to want to create a blueprint interface. This is just going to allow our blueprints to be able to talk to each other. So we just go blueprint and then blueprint interface. I'm just going to call this BI_interaction. Go in here. And then we're going to compile save, and then we're going to have this function here. So this basically is going to allow you to create functions that can be accessed by other blueprints. So we're just going to rename this one. We're going to call it event interact. Right there, compile save, and then you can literally just close this. You're never going to need it again. So we're going to open our third person character. We're going to go to class defaults, or no, it's actually class settings. And you'll see here under interfaces, it's going to, under interfaces, it's going to say implemented interfaces and add. You're going to go here, type in BI, and you're going to get BI interaction. So now this has been added to our actor, and now we can actually go ahead and create the code that runs the interaction. But first things first, we need to have an input for it. So we're going to go to project settings. Going to go to input. You can again also use the enhanced input actions, but for something as simple as this, we're just going to go here. So we're going to just call this interact. Typically it's going to be the E key, and then we can add something like the left face button, let's say. Now we're going to go here. We are then going to go interact, action events, and then click interact, and then we're going to have this button call. So the first thing we need to do is set up a line trace. So we're going to make a line trace by channel. Going to connect that right here. So we're just going to simply do our line trace math. So we're going to grab the follow camera. We are then going to get its world location. Next is to get a forward vector. And now we're going to do some math to get our start and end point for our line trace. So let's back this up a little bit, go over here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to times this by whatever our arm length is. So we're going to go to our camera boon. We're going to get the target arm length, which is going to be 400. So this is basically going to just get the follow camera and then go to where actually the point of your character is, so we can start at the actual character for the third person blueprint. So let's change this to a float. Let's make this 400. We are then going to get the length of what you actually want the trace to be. So this is how far you want the player to be able to interact with something. This is definitely something that needs to be play tested. You know, you can mess around with it. I typically think that 600 or 800 is a good number, so I'm going to go with 800. Again, the base unit is centimeters, so this is basically going to be 800 centimeters. So this is going to always be this number, but then this can be whatever number you want and just play around with it. And this is actually how far forward the player needs to be in order to interact with an object. So then we're now going to do some multiplication. We're going to do some adding. We're going to get this, and then we're going to add this number, and let's straighten that, and then we're going to connect that to the start function here, and then we are going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it with this bottom number here. Right, and then we're going to plug this one into our end. Now, just in case you have a lot of line traces, and also just to make it more organized, we're going to make this a macro. So just go and collapse to macro. And then we're just going to call this line trace math, which I already have another one of those up right now because of another video. So I'm just going to put interaction math. So now that we got that done, I'm going to change this draw debug to for duration just to show what it's doing. So we go here in our player character, we hit E. As you can see, that red line is basically going to the point where we're interacting. So if that line hits anything we're able to interact with, it's basically going to run the interaction math. As you can see, it's based on where the camera is looking. So that one's going up. Go here, it'll look down. So it's completely based on where the character or the player is looking. So after we do our line trace by channel, we're just going to make a branch off of this return value. This is basically just going to confirm that it did hit something. From there, we're going to break hit result. This is going to get us all the data from whatever our line trace actually hits. And we want to go to hit actor. So this is just going to be the actor that we hit. So we're going to get a node called does implement interface, which is referring to our blueprint interface. We're then going to go down here, BI, there. So if it implements the interface, this particular one, we are going to run the code. So we're going to go here, and then we're going to go down. Let's move this a little forward a little bit. And then we're going to go off here, and we're going to go event interact, which is going to call this function. And now we can run basically any interaction that we want using this code. Let's go ahead and call this something like interact. And then we have this code ready to go, and it's just about adding actors that we can interact with now. I'm just going to first set up a door because it's something very simple. So I'm going to just add an actor. We're going to call it BP underscore door. Open her up. And then I'm going to make a door real quick. Okay, so just using some default props from the starter content, I've made this little door and door frame. And the first thing we need to do is, of course, connect our interface. So we're going to go down here to implement interfaces again, and we're going to put in BI. Boom. Then we're going to go to the event graph. So the first thing we're going to want to do, just to make things a little more organized, a little simpler, we're just going to add a custom event called open door. And then we're just going to make code that basically opens the door. So we're going to get this static mesh. We're going to get relative rotation, if I could spell, relative rotation. We are then going to get set relative rotation. Then we're going to add a timeline, just to make it a little fancy. Connect update to this, connect play, or actually we want to do play from start. So move this up, double click, let's add a track. Let's make it maybe 1 second. Call it, just door track. Zero, zero. And then add a keyframe. Let's call this 1, 1. All right. So then we're going to get a lerp rotator. Then we're going to plug this in, straighten that connection. We are then going to add, so let's go to our viewport, let's click this. So these are the numbers that you get for your relative rotation right here. So currently it's this, so if we make this 0, it's going to look like this. So we are just going to actually keep that node the same. So we're just going to have it go from this to set to 0. And we're going to want to do shortest path. This just means that it's going to rotate the way that we want to. So shortest path will just be opening like this, versus if it was not, that option wasn't selected, it might do something funky like this. So shortest path is normally correct 99% of the time, so usually just have that selected right like that. Then we're just going to plug that into our new rotation. Then we're going to go up here and we're going to do this. And as you can see, it took a lot of different button presses to actually make it work. You might be wondering why this is. Well, it's because our mesh is kind of hard to hit. it's going to actually have to hit the mesh to count as the actor. So a way to fix this problem that we're having is to go to the viewport. We are simply going to add a component. We're going to add a box collision. Then we're going to make this slightly bigger. Just basically take up the entire door. Once we get that done, we're going to go to project settings again. We are then going to go to collision. From there, you can see there are trace channels. And if you recall, we're doing a line trace by channel. Currently, the channel is visibility. So that just means anything that is visible. But if we look at our little door mesh here, we can see that, you know, there's this place, there's like a gap in it that we have to hit. We are going to have to hit this mesh perfectly. And if you're doing an interaction with a small mesh or something like that, it can also lead to issues. So what we want to do is we want to make our own trace channel. So we're going to go here. We're going to go interact. And we're going to set the default response to ignore. And then accept, right? So then we're going to go to our third person character. Going to go to trace channel. Change this. Okay, it didn't go there. All you have to do is compile and save, and it should be there next time. Going to go to interact, compile and save. Now go to your door. We're going to go to the box collision that we made. We're going to go to the details panel and scroll down till we have collision. We have our collision presets here. We're going to change this to custom. And as you can see here, we have the different reactions. So ignore, overlap, and block. We're going to want to ignore everything except for this interact. So we're going to change that to block. So now that we have that set up, we go here, we press play, walk over to our door, hit E, and now we can walk through it and we have a functioning door that we can interact with. Now if you want to do something like close the door, you could just literally take this code and make a custom event called close door, copy and paste this. When you copy and paste a timeline, you do have to rename it. I'm not going to, but you should. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that since we know our numbers. We're going to say that this is at 90, and then this is going to be at 0. So this is going to be closed door. We go to our interaction, and we can just do what's called a flip-flop, which is just going to switch between two values. So A, put open door, and for B, we're just going to put our closed door. So once we add our closed door, we're going to actually want to add a do once, just so you can't constantly open the door. That's a delay. We don't want that. We want to do once. We go here into here. We're then going to add a delay. We can plug them both into here. Both the timelines take 1 second, so let's do 1.1, and then we can just tie that back into here. Okay, so I got the numbers wrong. We're going to make this 0, and then we're going to make this 90, actually. So now we go to here, and we can open and close this door. Another example of actors, we're just going to make something simple like a light. So let's make BP underscore light. This could be like a lamp or a lantern or something. For the mesh, I'm just going to make it a cube. This is mostly just so we can see it. Again, let's add the box collision and do those settings real quick. So box collision. So basically this box is just saying how much leeway it is for it to interact. If you want it to be a very tight interact, you make it tight to this mesh. If you want it to be, you know, they just have to get in a certain range, you can make it bigger to be a little more lenient. Now we're going to add a point light. So in this radius is basically how the light's going to go. We're going to make the intensity something like, just going to add another 0 just to make it a little more obvious. And let's make it a yellowy light, just so again, a little more obvious. So we're then going to go to class settings. Oh, first we need to fix our box. So box, we're going to go to collision. Again, we're going to go custom. Going to ignore, interact, compile, save. We are then going to go to our event graph, where we are going to go here. Actually, no, first we need to go to our class settings, add in the interface. double click, and now we have this. So we're going to then go here. We're actually going to set the intensity to 0. So it's going to start off basically. And then we're just going to grab this set intensity. And we're going to set it to 50,000. Do the same thing where you just have a flip-flop. And then we make the intensity of this second one 0. And then we can go here. And then we have a working light that we can turn on and off. Let's say you're doing something like picking up an object. We're just going to do a blueprint class actor BP_pickup. And then we are just going to put that in. I'm going to make this one going to add a static mesh. We're going to make it a sphere. Or actually, what fun static meshes do we have in the starter pack? We have this little bench, so I'm going to make it this little couch thing. I'm going to say maybe it's a toy couch so I can show off, it being small. So we're going to shrink it down. So, now it's a little toy collectible couch. Again, we're going to do the exact same thing, the drill. We're going to go here, add the BI, boom. We are then going to add a box collision, and we're going to bring it up. We're going to make it a little more lenient because it's a smaller object, so we're going to do something like this. We're going to go down to the collision, going to make this custom, and then once again, ignore except for interact, compile, save. And let's say you also need this pickup actor to do something within our third person character. So maybe it is, ammunition. So we need to add an integer to our ammunition, or say that it is a key of some sort. So we need to add a Boolean so that the player can now open a door or something like that. All we have to do is go here, get actor of class. We are going to then select our third person character or whatever your character is. Let's just promote this to a variable, call it player. Then we have that. Next, we're going to do event interact. So let's just say that when we collect the object, we are going to, let's do both. So let's go to our third person character. We are going to make two variables, one called pickup, question mark. Then we're going to do one called ammo. We're going to make this an integer. So let's say it does both. Okay, so we're going to get our player. We are then going to first we need to get ammo. Then let's say, we're just going to add one. Let's go here, let's go set ammo. All right. And then let's also say that we need to set a Boolean to true. We're just going to get set, what did I call it? Set pickup. Yeah, set pickup. Then we're going to make this true. And then we're just going to destroy actor. It's going to destroy itself. So we're going to compile, save. Let's put in this little pickup thing here. All right, so let's go to third person character just to show it off. I'm going to, so if I press my 9 key, it's going to do a branch check. And if we have pickup, it's going to then tell us how much ammo we have. So this is just a way to show off both. So obviously this can be used for other things, such as the actual ammo system or the actual pickup system to check if you need to do this. You can also incorporate this back into this. So you can have it to where you have to have a certain item in order to interact with certain objects. That's a little bit more complicated system, but you can build off this system to do that. I'm going to go to this little couch. I'm going to look down. The couch is gone. I'm going to hit my 9 key and print how much ammo we have. Alright, so that's going to do it for this video. Again, I think this is probably the most straightforward interaction system that you can make in Unreal Engine 5. Of course, you can make it a lot more complex, add a lot more variables, make it interact with a bunch of different more objects. Basically, any single actor you can make, you can basically have an interaction between it with this system, as long as you add the blueprint interface and stuff like that. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learn more about the ways to interact in Unreal 5.